Big updates, big developments to get through this afternoon as we have the yes from both Hato and Xavi Simons. I hope you guys enjoy the video, hit that like button, and of course, as you should expect, if you guys still want to buy any of this season's merchandise range, some excellent collections are out there, I'm your guy. Of course, use my link above in the card description below. And I want to just stress this, there's never any pressure to buy this, it's just like a simple advertisement. Times are hard right now, I completely understand, and I'm completely there with you guys as well, you know what I mean. But if you did decide to get something from here, of course, using one of my links does actually help the channel. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's discuss the first report today. Let's discuss the breaking story this afternoon. Alexander Isak has announced he wants to leave Newcastle. Personally, why did this brother take until right now to figure things out? I'm not too sure, but once it was confirmed by Sky Sports that he was not travelling to Singapore for the pre-season tour, it was quite obvious, I think, to all of us that this could communicate that Isak wants to leave and that Newcastle were just simply saving face. But the article that broke the news today from the Daily Mail, massive report, Isak wants to leave Newcastle. He has 3 years left on his existing deal. For now, Isak and his camp do not want to commit. Liverpool, of course, have made massive interest and are prepared to break a British transfer record for his signing. Newcastle are kind of in disarray at the moment. Their valuation of 150 million is the only thing that could possibly save them. But I have to even say, you guys, I think 150 mil for Isak is ridiculous. I'm going to sound a bit harsh. I think the guy is one of the top 5 strikers in the world. But I think you pay that type of money if you're doing flipping 40 goals a season. At least 35 minimum in all competitions, right? You can't be splashing 150 M's for 32 goals. For me, 100 million is fair. 150 mil is greedy. But this is where we have that conversation. Because one thing I've consistently heard all the time, if there was one player we would break the bank for, it would be Alexander Isak. But now I just think to myself, let's have this conversation. It's just too greedy to sign Isak right now. You know, you've got Pedro, you've got Liam Delap. All of us are thinking, if you offer Nicholas Jackson the money, how would Newcastle possibly turn down a deal like that? Because they're running out of top players that can actually improve their team. And Nico Jackson would fit things like a glove. But listen, there's also another thing that helps us. If they do sell Issach to, let's say, Liverpool hypothetically, Newcastle have serious money to splash in the market, and that could help us by having another wealthy option that could help us sell a Nicholas Jackson. Personally, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I just think it's too greedy. It's too greedy to go for Issach. I feel like Maresca's hair's basically nearly finished right now. An Issach move would completely destroy it, what's left of his follicles, because I just don't see the balance you can strike. I think Pedro makes a lot more sense playing the false 9 role. I don't want him to kind of shift out of positions right now for no reason. The lap's just been signed. If there was maybe clearer signs that we could have maybe had a possibility for Issach, we would have seen it already. Reports suggest that Liverpool might be the favourites. They just bagged Ekitike. I don't see how they're going to find the balance right, unless they think Ekitike will play on the left. But you've just splashed 90 mil euros to play a striker on the left side. I think that's a bit insane, in my opinion. I feel like Issach is just too greedy for most clubs at this point in time. I understand why maybe he decided to wait to announce his intentions, because maybe he wants to give Newcastle some grace. Can they improve the team? Can they sign players? But at the moment, it seems like even though they bagged Champions League football, they're struggling to materialize any type of quality or any type of evidence that Newcastle is still the best place for his development that can satisfy his sporting ambitions. It seems like Issach is about right now. Let's see if we decide to make any type of moves. But I don't know. For a player this good, you guys in the chat, do you just make it happen at any cost? Do you just force a move to go through because he's that good? And then Maresca has to find a way. It's not the first time clubs have moved like that. Let's keep things real. But now that we have Pedro and these types of man right now, unless maybe Nicholas Jackson bounces and you're planning to use maybe Joao Pedro to act as your Xavi Simons, which technically could happen because he did play that way for Brighton last season. That's the only way I see something like this happening. So let's see if stronger reports link us with a move for Issach now that the cat is out the bag and that Issach wants to leave Newcastle. Share your thoughts and opinions on how you're feeling about this story. Let's discuss the updates on Xavi Simons. Now, some positive news, but we know that Xavi Simons has said yes to Chelsea. The negative stuff is the price tag. For myself, it's not really a negative, but at the same time, I'm an armchair fan. I don't know how these finances work. I don't really care when I just want good players. But anyway, some of the updates coming out from Germany suggest that Leipzig are still holding out for a total package of around 70 million euros. I think when you convert the euros into pounds, that's around 58 million pounds. I don't think that's too insane considering they need to make a guaranteed prof, as they bought him for around like 50 million euros in January. I think that is fair and reasonable, and I think one thing we've seen throughout the window across many clubs signing players is really favourable, fair, long-term structures for these deals. So let's see how things work in that aspect. Obviously, Bayern Munich have gathered information from the players' sides. Bayern are hovering. It's not the first time we've lost out to players to Bayern Munich, but we do know that Xavi Simons does prioritize a move to us right now. Now, there's a lot of things working in our favor, which I'll discuss later on, but let's focus on the news part first. Xavi is very keen on a move and is tempted by us, but of course, Bayern have made calls. They've shown even more long-term interest compared to us. And if we step up, or if we waste time in the negotiations or can't strike a deal down, then naturally Bayern are going to be ready to try and make something happen. Now, in terms of the price tag we're ideally hoping to buy him for, ideally 60 million euros is what we're hoping for. I think there were suggestions that we also hope that Chukwuemeka could be part of the deal as well to bring the total package down. But what's really maybe making things a bit more difficult is the fact that Chukwuemeka naturally prefers to remain at Borussia Dortmund. That's a key thing for him here. This news was also confirmed by the Telegraph, which is obviously important. Leipzig, of course, are inclined to make a permanent offer for Chukwuemeka. But this is why these types of deals are hard, because from a fan perspective, we just think it's common sense that Chukwuemeka just goes to RB in a separate deal. We sign Simons, game over. But, you know, the players are human beings and he's already settled at Dortmund. Dortmund are still trying to engineer a possible loan, but it's up to Dortmund now to come on the money and make things happen. You know, they do have CL football. You know, they can't just be getting our players for free. We've already given them so many favourable loan terms over how many years with how many players. I don't think Chukwuemeka is that crazy, but at the same time, hopefully Chelsea can kind of reach an agreement as well to kind of soften things and bring things down a little bit. But I don't know, man. For me, Xavi Simons is a very interesting player that we can target right now. And to give you guys some like nice little insights that kind of provide, you know, more context as to why there's a big chance we could get this deal done. Simons has been a lifelong Chelsea fan. I think that always helps. Some other interesting things. I'm actually doing like a little like TikTok video on this. Make sure you guys follow the TikTok, quick plug. But he was actually on trial at Chelsea at Cobham years ago. We did try to make moves for him when it was announced that he could be leaving La Masia years ago as well. So there's been like a long-term vested interest in a player like him because he has been seen as like one of the premium wonder kids now in Europe for his generation. So let's continue to see what happens there. But for myself, man, it's really simple. It comes down to negotiations. Now, there's one thing I wish I could share with you guys right now, which I can't because I'm still burnt by the Kudu stuff. I still remain adamant. I was sharing a lot of on-point insight. I can't predict how these things are going to end. So I don't want to put myself or yourselves in that situation of like false promise. But the only thing I've heard that kind of contradicts the reports a little bit, not significantly, but a little bit today, is that maybe we might be further ahead in terms of negotiating a deal than what reports are revealing at the moment. But there could be context as to why you want to wait for the optimum time to release news, because journalists, they strategize as part of their job. They don't just release info the second it gets WhatsApp to them. You strategize how you release it. Hence why you see so many journals releasing the same stuff at the same time, taking advantage of that wider traction, right? That's how the game works. So let's watch this space surrounding Xavi Simons, but it does seem like Enzo Maresca could be getting his guy. And I stress this, I've said this in a few videos, I'm going to remind you guys again. Maresca, I don't know why I'm doing this, but Maresca is a fan of the player and wants him in the squad. And as I said before the window even opened, I'm hoping that the manager gets a bit more say behind how the squad is constructed in his image, because he needs those right profiles to help with the overall vision of the system, the team, etc, etc. And I think Simons definitely is the mold that suits that. So yeah, some exciting developments at the moment. Let's respect the Bayern Munich threat, but let's hope we can engineer something. Obviously sales are still key, but just getting the verbal agreement gives us a lot of confidence. But as I said, we might be further along than what is being reported at this point in time. So let's now move on to one of the next big stories to discuss involving Jarell Hato. And my friends, we finally got the okay from Hato. We have agreed personal terms. That's the big news. Romano broke this late last night. Too late for me to make a video, sadly. But this is a big positive. If you guys remember, for the last few months, he has been on our shortlist. As we all know, when we were moving for Houston, Hato was seen as the next best alternative we would turn to. So the news that we have agreed personal terms is big. It doesn't guarantee that we're going to sign him, but it puts us there a lot closer right now. Now, the fee being discussed is around 35 million plus add-ons. Now, Ajax went around 60 mil euros. But the reason why we're valuing Hato at this price range is because it's quite comparable to the Julian Timbers deal that took him from Ajax to Arsenal for around the same price. Back then, though, it was widely reported at the time that Ajax had undersold Timbers because they valued him as a 70 to 60 mil euro type of talent. But financially, of course, they paid the price and they couldn't get him for the demands that they wanted. So that's a bit of context around that. But the thing is, Hato wants the project. He wants to sign for us. He wants to come here. That's big, massive news. And I'm really excited by this because he's the type of player we need. Now, let's kind of quickly focus on the negotiations. There is a belief that there could be a middle ground, a respectable middle ground, because we do have a long-term excellent relationship with Ajax. And of course, that middle ground simply would be possible players going in separate deals. Now, in my FM save, yeah, I always see Armando Brojo going to Ajax and he just becomes like an Ajax legend, bagging like 15, 20 goals a season. Could that happen in real life? We know that many clubs are after him, especially in the Bundesliga, and we're hoping to get around like 15 to 20 mil for his services. So let's watch the space. I'm sure there's other interesting talents they could turn to. Maybe Tyreek George. He clearly has no future here now if you're making moves for Xavi Simons, right? Let's keep it brutally honest. I mean, yeah. So I don't know why I got lost then. But Hato definitely is a player that we need to add to this team. He's someone that fulfills two roles. And I think this is going to be of much benefit to Enzo Maresca. I'm going to recommend that you guys catch my analysis reaction video on Hato that's out right now. It'll be in the card above. Expect there to be a more detailed Joao Pedro-like analysis on Hato as well, because obviously I need to give you guys a disclaimer. I had a really interesting back and forth with one of my commenters in that video that I am kind of restricted to the compilation, but I do put them out there just to give you guys a gauge and understanding of how he could work for us, his best traits and qualities, how he could complement us in the system. But it doesn't really talk about the cons because I'm kind of limited to the comp, right? But this is why I'm kind of looking to slowly introduce more analytical style pieces, like my Joao Pedro video I did a few weeks back. So expect to see that on Hato once there's more clarity on this deal definitely going through. But I think obviously the common sense thing is he fulfills two roles, right? He can be that centre back when we need him, and he can be that inverted option. But just because he inverts, inverting doesn't mean you're exclusively only coming inside. As we've seen from Cucurella and everyone, certain times, yeah, you do form that double pivot. Other times, you're underlapping and you're overlapping. That's the whole point of an inverted style fullback. You allow the option to come inside as well. You're not just exclusively staying inside. And Hato, playing more traditionally as like an auxiliary overlapping fullback under Ajax last season, to give you guys a little bit of brief context, Ajax kind of play like the classic football again under Farioli. Think of your back four, two overlapping fullbacks, two like Masala guys in front of a traditional DM who comes back to sit deep, and obviously two inside forward style players. And I think for Hato's development, only just turned 19, I like when players are able to maybe play in a variety of different positions and tactical roles, because it makes you more complete as you get older. Once upon a time, we all hated seeing Cole playing left back, but now we can probably see the benefits behind him having some experience in that position, especially when it comes to knowing how to defend out wide, right? So I think there's just so many like transferable, scalable, that's the key word here, scalable qualities in Hato's game, which makes me feel like this is like an undoubted star signing we can make. He might struggle for a little bit when he first comes, cool, let's keep it real, but he's not going to be a flop. This guy will come goods, and I think for his age and the potential price, I'm very excited by how this deal could get tied down and wrapped up, you guys. Yeah, big developments are happening right now. Things are looking incredibly promising at this point in time, and we could be ending the window on a banger. I think once you get Hato, once you get Simmons, maybe you might get a goalkeeper or maybe a centre back, but it fully depends on what emerges from the window, right? So my friends, that's everything on Hato out the way. So that's all the updates today, my friends. Get involved in this conversation. Check all my other videos out, and I'll see you guys later. Cool.